and welcome to this video. My name is Chloe Gosiewski from onewayjourney.com. In this video we are going to be looking at travel anxiety, more specifically what it is and a few techniques to help you cope with it. Now we're going to jump straight in. If you want to find out any more about me, I've got some links in the description to my website. If you wanted to work with me one-to-one, that opportunity is there for you if you'd like to go and check that out. I also have a Be Travel Confident course, which you can also find the link to. It's basically an e-coaching, so it wouldn't be one-to-one. It's the coaching model, the travel coaching model that I've built. It's 8 sessions. And you can do it completely in your own time online, so go and check that out in the link. Moving swiftly on, because I know that's what you're all here for, travel anxiety. So what is travel anxiety? Well, it isn't something that you either get or you don't get. In fact, anxiety in general does not discriminate. It can affect anyone at any time without warning or prejudice. So when we speak of anxiety in the travel sense, we're talking about the way that your body responds when you travel or you think about traveling. Believe it or not, you can be so excited and so eager to travel, yet still feel overwhelmed, stressed and anxious. You could be somebody who is quite experienced at travel. You could be quite an experienced traveller and still feel anxiety, stress and overwhelm. Okay, it's a natural human trait. So in order to understand that a little bit better and to explain it a little bit better, anxiety is your body's natural response to stress. It's just this natural response. You might have heard the fight or flight. You know, when you're in a situation, your body's naturally wants to either go into fight or flight mode. So anxiety is another natural response that our body produces basically when we're in certain situations. So when we face a situation that we perceive to be, say, potentially harmful, or we feel will cause danger to us, or the way that we live our life, then our instinctual kickback is to experience worrying triggers and feelings of anxiety. That's kind of how we're unfortunately programmed. Now, they're not only normal, but they're actually necessary for survival. Now, over the years, we as humans, for reasons, our reasons for experiencing anxiety have changed greatly. So if we were to look back, to hundreds and hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, back to caveman times, the survival, the anxiety for survival could have been as a result from, a predator, that kind of thing. Whereas today, our survival is predominantly based around things like work, family, relationships, social, and finances. That's our survival is now dependent on those things, whereas years ago it would have been different. And of course, in years to come, it's likely to change again. Anything that can cause any disruption to any of these areas can be perceived as a threat. We are talking about it and say, well, it's not really a threat, but actually for our subconscious, that is perceived as a threat and can cause you to react in survival mode. And of course, travel is no exception. So without getting too complicated, and getting too far into it, anxiety is basically unhelpful thinking patterns that we experience when our mind is fixated on the threat. So for example, you might tell yourself that you might get on a plane and the plane might crash, and that's causing you, that can actually develop into a phobia. But for example, if you are on an aeroplane, you might be feeling anxiety, to a bit of turbulence, for example. And it can even be something as simple as, I'm going to miss my flight. And you fixate on that anxiety. And sometimes, I've had this before, I'm not actually sure what it is that is off the top of my head, what is causing that anxiety. I'm worrying about all these different things, which is why it's really important to understand what it is that you're thinking and understand the pattern that you've got into to think about that certain situation. So anxiety can occur on its own as a response to a perceived threat, as a response to stress, or it's kind of triggered through a certain situation. But it's really important for you to understand that you can't stop anxiety from happening. It's a survival mechanism. It's going to happen, but what you can do, and it will be just completely such a valuable thing for you to learn, is what is what is causing it and how to respond to that anxiety, just so that you don't get carried away with it. I have travelled extensively for long periods and short periods with friends and family and alone, and I still experience travel anxiety. I'm fully aware now of what it is, and I appreciate this, because I think being aware of how I'm feeling and why I might be feeling that way, I'm able to take control of the situation, and it doesn't stop me from going out there and experiencing all the incredible things that life has to offer. So I don't think I would have gone on half of the trips that I've been on if I had succumbed to that anxiety. Remember, you can't stop anxiety. It's a natural response. However, you can gain control of it. You can understand it. And we're going to look at a few ways in this video that you can do that. There's loads of different ways, but we're going to look at a few of them. So mindfulness is obviously a really big one, that I think is, because you need to be aware of what you're thinking and why you're thinking something. So if you don't already know about mindfulness, it's something that I do cover in my sessions. I've also got a whole section on meditation and mindfulness in the e-coaching program that's you can find in the link below. But when you get into good patterns of understanding what it is that you're thinking, what is actually going on around you, what the threat is this something that I can actually gain control of? And for majority of the time it is going to be something that you can gain control of. So being mindful is when you purposely bring attention to experiences that are occurring in the present moment without any judgment whatsoever. So it includes being mindful of your own thoughts, your feelings, because when you bring attention to your thoughts and your feelings, what you're thinking at that moment and where you are in life, you're able to take full control, like I said previously, of your anxiety. So some questions that you could ask yourself when you're kind of getting that feeling is, what are you feeling? Write it down. What are you feeling? Not what are you thinking, what are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? And what is actually happening around you right now? So if you're away traveling and you maybe you're in a situation where you're in a completely different country and you are, feeling quite anxious and stressed about something, just take note of what's actually happening around you. Stop for a minute, because I think a lot of the issue with stress and anxiety is when we get so caught up in what's going on around us that it's almost like everything is happening a little bit faster than normal. So just slow down, stop for a minute. What's actually happening around you? And what can you do to help you to feel better in that moment? You can't change situations that are around you. We've been through this in previous videos. You cannot change what's outside of your existence. That's a given. As much as you might want to change certain things, you can't do it. What you do have control of is how you react to a situation. And you've probably heard this before. If not, then welcome to the party. But you can change the way that you react to a situation, which will ultimately change the way that you view everything around you and your experience of what is happening around you. That's the key takeaway from this. You can't change what's happening, but you can't change what's happening, but you can change your experience to what is happening and the way that you perceive it and feel about it. There are some mindful activities that you can do, things like going for a walk out in nature, but being mindful of what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're smelling, the weather, all of those things, what's around you. Also things like reading is good. Something that my mum does for mindfulness is she paints rocks. She goes out for a walk and collects big rocks from down by the river, and she paints them, and that's a mindful, and it is I've done it a few times with her, it's a mindful practice. Things like writing, getting in the moment, something that's bringing you into this present moment, baking, cooking, meditating, something that's bringing you into the now. So there's lots of different things that you can try, but it's good to get into good mindful habits, because as we've been through previously before, like, thoughts are habitual and they fall into patterns of ways of thinking, which is great if you are in a positive way of thinking and a very mindful way of thinking. But if you're not, then obviously that can have an effect on situations that are going on around you. So stop and ask yourself how you're feeling, how you're, what's going on around you, and just being mindful. Positive self-talk is so important. Now, self-talk refers to internal dialogue, or statements that a person will say to themselves. So negative self-talk then is going to lead to negative feelings, and positive self-talk will lead to positive feelings. Sometimes we talk to ourselves in ways that we would never dream of speaking to another person. I have, if I was to sit and think about perhaps maybe some of the things that I've thought about myself in the past, I would never ever, I would look at another person who would say that to themselves and be like, are you kidding me? Like, you are amazing. So negative self-talk can be really detrimental to so many things: your self-esteem, your confidence, anxiety, your anxiety levels. It all interlinks with each other. So it's so important to be talking nicely to yourself, really. So start making positive language a part of your daily routine. Like I say, starting a new habit, when you first join a gym, I wouldn't know about this because I don't go to the gym, but I have before been to the gym once. But going to the gym, you get into this, when you first go, it's a new thing, it's a bit weird, but you start getting into the habit of going, and all of a sudden you're kind of in this flow. And if you then don't go to the gym on the times that you usually go, it feels weird and out of sync because you're now in a new routine. And it's the same thing with positive thinking, positive thoughts, the language that you're using. You have to start and be consciously reminding yourself to do it until your subconscious has reprogrammed your brain and is like, this is what we need to do every day. This is what we need to think every day. Of course, you always have to be mindful of your thoughts because situations can happen around you, can shake you up a little bit. So you have to consistently, I didn't one day wake up and go, I'm going to be mindful today. I have to be on top of it all the time. I have to think about what I'm saying to myself and, what's going on around me. This is every single day, me taking control of my life. And that is so, so important. This is you saying, I'm going to take control of my life by being aware of what I'm doing, how I'm talking to myself, and making it into a new habit and just being in control of you. So that's that. That's that one. Let's move on. Have a quick sip of my tea, my Little Miss Princess cup. Another way for you to kind of deal with anxiety as it crops up is to befriend your anxiety. Now, hear me out when I say this. It can sometimes help to stop battling with your travel anxiety and instead make friends with it. You can even name it and, caricature it. If you find that helps, for example, you might not find that helps to give it an image in your head of how it might look. But by ending the internal war between yourself and your anxiety, is basically the first step to really kind of truly taking back your power and taking back, you know, your personal power. And learning to use your anxiety as a force of good, because don't forget, anxiety is there to protect you. It's there as a survival thing. It's not, it shouldn't be against you. You know, if you are having you know, you've got somebody there who's there to take care of you, and they do take care of you, they're there to, you know, make sure that they are they're there to literally make sure that you're not in any danger. It could be a parent, for example, but you're not seeing eye to eye to them, because every time they show up, they're just making you, like, they're literally like too empowering. It's empowering you with the anxiety, you know, the anxiety is like throwing it on you. But if you were to have a conversation with the anxiety or the parent and say, look, this is how it's making me feel, you can come to an understanding that they're not there, that it's not there to hurt you, it's actually there to protect you, but you need to control it. It's your tool, it's your thing that you control. So befriending it helps you to process that in your mind, that you are here to serve me. You are here for my better good, my highest good, not the other way round. So what do you need? So in that case, you know, when it pops up, when it kind of comes up into expressing itself, instead of battling against it, ask it, what do you need? Like, I know you're trying to protect me, I know you're here to as a survival thing, and that's fine. I am looking at the situation around me, and I know that I am safe, and I know that I need to do whatever it is that I'm going to do. What do you need from me? I'm now telling you that you can back down. Yeah, I am now in a place where I understand what's going on. Thank you for, you know, stepping up and trying to make sure that I'm okay, but I am okay now. You've told me what the danger is that you think. I've asked you, what do you need? You've told me. I've looked around and I've dealt with the situation, and I'm telling you now, you can calm down because everything is okay, and I am in control here. It's so easy for us to kind of lose control of our own personal power, because we sometimes forget how in control of life we really are. And that's okay. If that's you, that's okay. It happens to all of us. But I'm telling you now, if you're watching this video and you've got to this point, you are in control of how you're feeling. It's okay if you get overwhelmed and you worry about things and things concern you. What's not okay is for you to ferment there to the point that it's actually making your life horrible. It's making you're not enjoyable. You're missing out on opportunities, or, you know, experiences can turn one of two ways. You know, if you're in that anxious mode and you're out traveling, like, how much nicer would it be for you to experience it in a much more positive way? Of course it would be better, and that's absolutely the ultimate goal that you want, and you can achieve that. It can be done. Just acknowledge what it's there for, why it's there. What do you need? What are you trying to show me? Okay, however you want to do that. Like I say, name it if you want, if that helps you to put that connection in place. It doesn't really matter. So there's also some breathing exercises that you can do. I'm not going to run through them in this video, but there are some breathing exercises in my how to handle the stress of traveling. So if you wanted to check that video, it's all time stamped, so you can either watch the whole video. If you're somebody that struggles with travel anxiety, it's likely that you also maybe, you know, could do with understanding a little bit more about stress and how to handle stress. So that video would be a really good one for you to check out. It's also time stamped of the different sections if you just want to kind of skip to the bit that is relevant for you, i.e. the breathing exercises you can find in that one. But that's pretty much in a nutshell what travel anxiety is, and hopefully you've kind of got something from that you can take away. There is, like I said previously, you can work with me one-to-one. It's something that I do work with my clients about, because anxiety is part of that mental health travel umbrella. It's something that I'm very passionate about, helping others, because I've been there myself. So you can work with me one-to-one, or there is that the Be Travel Confident course, which you can also, it's not really a course, it's like an e-coaching program. So it's basically you can see videos and stuff that I'm asking you to do, but it's not quite one-to-one where we're talking specifically about your needs. That would require that of course would require me to talk to you directly. But I hope you found this useful. If there is any questions that you've got, pop them in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, please like, let others know about it. It does help me to build up the channel, and if I'm building up the channel, it means that I can create more content and help more people. So please do like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment in there. Even if you've got some tips of your own that that you manage yourself, like drop them in there so that other people can share. Share our knowledge. It's an incredible way for us to exist, is to share that. So I hope you enjoyed this. Have a lovely day or evening wherever you are in the world. Cheers. Here's my cup of tea. It's a Saturday here. And all the best. Take care. Bye bye.